tears I've cried.
Hey everyone. Another, I don't know, I guess you call it just a different show. I do want to talk to you about some serious stuff. That's right, me being serious. I'm also recording this without the music in the background, and I'm videotaping it, so we're doing a multitasking process here. We'll see how all that goes. And anyway, what I want to talk to you about is my son. And through recent events with my mom getting sick, and I don't know. I don't know how much I want to reveal with that. But anyway, let's just say she has cancer, and the prognosis is not what you'd call favorable. But it's an unknown, right? Since you never really know. Right now, she's doing quite well. She's in good spirits. She's getting stronger. And after a few days in the hospital. But during this time, we had almost lost her in the emergency room. We got her up in her room, and she started doing better. And she was out of there in 4 days. And we got her back home where she wanted to be. And finding out the news of her having cancer and stuff, let's just say I didn't do really well with that news. And I was in kind of a panic, I guess you'd say, because I have all these RVs out on the property that I'm scrapping out, but I'm overrun with them, and it's going to take a huge amount of work to get these things cleaned up. And I was a bit overwhelmed with that and the amount of hours it's going to take to clean it up, plus repairing the house, a few repairs and changes, do some painting, cleaning, lots of cleaning, and then just dealing with my own stuff. And the other side of that was my son Corey, who passed away about 15 years ago, about 15 and a half, at the age of 13. And I had a rough 8 years with after losing him, and I did a few good things, but it took me a long time to kind of find myself again and reinvent myself a little bit, and all the things that entails. And I had to finally take my grief, and it's kind of like I put it up on a shelf right up behind me. It was like in a jar of just this black, thick, tar-like grief that just clings to everything it touches, and it's so hard to get it off. I know it's kind of a weird thing, but it's a palpable sensation of thickness, heaviness, that, just permeated my life for so long. About 8 years after he passed. And I would expect the first year or two you would have a lot of that. And it did diminish, some. But the bouts of depression and the lack of reconnecting with my life, and the difficulty I had in finding happiness, contentment, just a general feeling of usefulness, was difficult to find. And with this recent thing, it kind of reared its ugly little head again. And nothing terrible, but when I found out what shape she was actually in, after thinking that maybe she wasn't as bad as we thought, I was just here at the house just with the dogs and just screaming. I screamed out loud and it just yelled the top of my voice, and I cussed and cussed and cussed and tried to let it out of me. And this is not a normal occurrence for me in any fashion. And anyway, grief is this terrible thing, and it sits right there on a shelf right behind me. Not a real shelf, it's an imaginary shelf, but it's like if you want to take it off the shelf and pour it all over yourself and just dwell in that container of grief, I mean, it's right there for you anytime you want it. It's it just permeates and stinks, and it just thickness and terribleness, and it doesn't actually, I don't know, maybe someone would disagree, but it doesn't actually do you any good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with missing somebody who has died, or somebody that you're grieving for that is dying, maybe, or something like that. There's all kinds of grief. I mean, for all different ways, but grief is grief. Anyway, it's so important to look towards the future, to have goals and dreams. And when you're feeling depressed and down, you just have to pull yourself out of it and make a conscious decision that you're just not going to let it do that to you anymore. It is just an imperative that you do this. So if you're going through some grieving, having the loss of a wife or a husband is nearly, from what I understand, about as the same as having lost a child. The difference being that in a marriage, you choose to be with that person, and with a child, you see yourself in that child. They remind you of yourself, and losing that is, I've always described it as when Corey died, I died. I mean, I just died. Who I was a dad, and then I was no longer a dad. I mean, I was his dad, but I didn't get to act like a dad anymore. That was over. That was done. I didn't get to play dad anymore. I didn't have any other children. So there was this big void in me of being a dad. I was, trying to be the best I could be. I failed miserably in several areas, but I still was trying to be the best I could be. And I don't know. It's just one of those things where you just, you struggle just to get out of bed. You just do the best you can. But it's so hard. God. I just look back and everything I went through. It was just unbelievable. I can still feel it. I mean, I still feel the pain, probably as strong as I ever did. I can just wrap myself in it if I choose to, and I don't choose too often. You could just feel it. Oh, it's a terrible thing. But the need to do that, or that happening in your life, happens less and less all the time. If you stay busy and you're creative and you're making new memories and fulfilling your dreams, you can make it. You can get through to the other side. You can get through the day and the week and the year. And now it's been 15 years and heading towards 16 quickly. And there's certain days of the year that really, they're just terrible. His birthday, which is December 19th, coming up just a couple weeks away. And the holidays, and the day that he died. And my birthday even, because it makes me think of him. And, there's a lot of days where he comes to mind. And I've got a big poster of him, I guess 18 by 24 or something like that, with him looking down above me. He's up above me on the wall, and he's looking down on me, and maybe he's in heaven, maybe he's looking down on me, and I want him to be proud of me, I want him to look down and say, wow, Dad is stronger than I thought. I made him go through all that, and look at him doing what he's doing now. I want him to be proud of me, like I was of him, He's an amazing, amazing child. Oh, it's so strange. He told his mom that he didn't want to grow up. He didn't like changing. Puberty and all that was kicking in. And he said, he didn't want to do it. And he ended up not doing it. So, it's just one of those things where you got to be careful what you ask for. Self-fulfilling prophecies do happen. So if you're grieving, you're not the first, you're not the last. But yours is yours. And it is unique to you. And you need to go through what you need to go through. These are lessons, I believe, for you to learn and to become a whole soul. To round yourself out as a whole being, that sometimes you have to lose family members and stuff to learn the lessons to become the soul that you're going to be. I guess we all have our jobs to do. I don't know, sometimes it doesn't make any sense. And why would I have to go through this? What did I do that was so terrible that I had to lose my son? What did I do wrong? But other times it's just like a big... Life is unfolding as it should, whether you understand it or not. Right? Maybe? I don't know. But you can do it. If I made it, you can make it. All you can do is wake up, like Tom Hanks says, and you just wake up every day, and you can breathe in and out. And then maybe after a while, you won't have to think about waking up and breathing in and out. And you won't have to think about how wonderful you had it. So nobody gets out of here alive, right? This is obviously a show full of cliches. But, cliches work. I live by them. I wanted to read you two things. I saw this on the refrigerator door on my son's mother's grandmother's refrigerator when I was down there and we were making funeral arrangements and trying to wrap her head around losing a child. And it said, Lord, you said you would never give me more than I could handle. I just wish you didn't have so much faith in my abilities. And I just chuckled when I read that. And I read it to some people who are really into religious studies and stuff, and they don't care for that all that much. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because I said, I just wish you didn't have so much faith in my abilities, and that we're supposed to have faith in his abilities. And maybe that's the problem with that. But in the place where I live, my God is inside of me, and He never makes me feel guilty or anything. It's different. It's not like Christianity or all that stuff. Mine's more of a spiritual thing, an individual spiritual thing. It's a journey. I kind of like the Tibetan, monk stuff. I like the Buddhism, and I like a little bit of all of it. It all seems to, a little bit of everything seems to make sense. And then there's one thing I wrote, sitting here in this very room, several years after he passed, and fighting with depression, and trying to figure out my path that I needed to walk. And it says, "How do I feel?" ? An overwhelming sense of despair, punctuated by moments of sheer terror and compounded by a feeling of uselessness, mourning, and dread. Jay Fernie. That's me. Anyway, that's how I felt. An overwhelming sense of despair, punctuated by moments of sheer terror and compounded by a feeling of uselessness, mourning, and dread. Wow. It fits. So I'm hopeful for my mom, and I'm hopeful for my future. And if you'd like to contact me, and maybe we could talk a little bit about what you're going through. But just remember that your grief is your own, and you're going to experience it your way and for the length of time that is appropriate for you. And that you shouldn't really let anybody tell you how long you should grieve, or how you should grieve, or when or where or why you should grieve. That's yours. And don't harm yourself. Don't harm yourself. Don't harm your heart. Don't harm your head. Don't harm your body. Stand up carefully every day and look yourself in the mirror and figure out who that new person is in the mirror. That strong person that is looking back at you and saying, "You can do this." It hurts. It god awful hurts. The aching in your entire being. You just want to shake your hands, and you want to raise your head up, and you want to scream. And yet you are fully capable as the person you are, that you can get through this. And you just have to remember that. And if you have somebody that's sick in your life, and their time is limited, maybe you ought to go over there and sit down with them and say, "Look, I don't want to be morbid or anything, but you're sick, and I don't want to go through the rest of my days without you knowing what you mean to me. The good, the bad, and the ugly, whatever. I would want to express a lot of good, but you say, for the last 12 years or something, you've been doing such and such, and I've been so annoyed by it. And knowing that maybe our time is short, I want to let you know that who cares? Who cares about it? You can't carry that stuff with you. You can't take it with you. So forgive. Try to forget. Tell them you love them. Tell them what they mean to you. share with them the things that you enjoy most about them. Tell them all those things that you have always really wanted to tell them. Because even if they're not sick, you better go tell these people this stuff, because you just nobody ever knows what somebody else means to them, and you can't tell them when they're gone. I don't want to trust that there is something after all this, some place we go to, and that I'll have a chance to meet those peoples that have died before me. I'm going to have a chance to go see and be with them. I hope that's what's next, but I don't know. And you don't really, don't risk that, Tell them what you think and feel. It's so important. It is. It's just the regrets that I have with Corey are huge. I mean, just huge. I really shut him down every time he wanted me to play with him, getting down on the floor. I'm a big guy. I don't get down on the floor very easy. And just playing with him. I mean, I did when he was a baby, but as he got older, I always thought, man, he'll grow up and we can go out and do the things I like to do, working on cars and building things and all that stuff. And then just right when he's getting to be a big enough man to do these things, he's gone. I felt so cheated. I still feel cheated. It permeates my brain beyond anything you can fathom, of the stupidity at myself of letting him down and letting myself down. So don't do that. Don't do that at all. You love them, and you tell them that you love them, and you show them, and you do the right things as often as you can, and you do it. And I don't care who they are. And if you got a problem with one of your relatives or cousin or uncle or grandparent, or your parents, your siblings, your friends, your everything, bury the friggin' hatchet and go talk to them and tell them what they mean to you. Say, quit being an idiot. I know that's tough to say and everything, but say, I'll quit being an idiot if you quit being an idiot. I'll even start. Let me just say, I love you and I'm sorry. If you got an idiot friend like I do, or ex-friend, that refuses to get off his own butt and help himself and everything, should I go talk to him and tell him how I feel? Well, probably. Am I going to do it? Probably not. If he died, would it matter to me whether I said that stuff to him or not? Not really. But if they do mean something to you and you miss them and you love them, maybe then you ought to go say that stuff, Just a thought. Anyway, this is another wonderful tangent on my show, a serious talk with Jay Fernie on Broadcast or Die. And I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. It's just so crazy. The shows I choose to do, right? It just doesn't, I don't know. Anyway, if you have some comments, I think you can get in touch with me through the Mixcloud. You can send me a message. Also, this will be on YouTube under my Kamper Killer program that I have on there. So since we're filming this, I'm going to put it on there. Hopefully the volume will be loud enough. But so if you get a chance, send me off a thing. I would love to hear about maybe the people in your life and the things you've gone through, and I'm going to put a real clickbait title on this and see if I can draw some interest to it and stuff. Other than that, please like and share on everything. And, if this makes a difference in your life or whatever, please let me know. And if you know somebody who's grieving, maybe pass this along to them. Oh, and the one final thought I want to say, and this is something that happened to me, was that you can get caught up in your own grief. Granted, I know I said it's yours and everything, but if it's detrimental to your health or well-being, then sometimes you just got to quit it. And there is such thing, as my uncle pointed out to me, that you can fall into this trap, and it's called the poor me. Poor me, I lost my son. You can only grieve for so many years, and where it's productive, where things you have to do to get through it. But sometimes you can get caught up in the poor me. And if that's you, recognize it. And if it's not you, forget I even said it. Move along, right? Yeah. You guys all have a great day. Nice talking with you. Woo, man. I cannot believe how long have I been going? I don't even know how long this has been. Long time to talk about death and grieving. Okay. See y'all later. We're out of here.
Oh, just like that, it's over.